Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with you on this show. We are going to talk about some news and then mainly get into some celebration stuff. Some announcements are rolling out. Some scheduling is coming out. Saw a nice little article on StarWars.com that I wanted to kind of extend on. So we'll do all of that. Again, thank you for joining me. This is Inside the Force, where we break down all the Star Wars stuff that's happening out there. Big thing right now is, I mentioned, I think maybe on the last show or the week before, things are running so fast these days for me. I launched a Patreon for Inside the Force. If you want to go check that out, it's patreon.com/Inside the Force. Be very grateful if you are wanting to support the show with a little monetary investment there. But of course, either way, love to have you here anyway. I know we have lots of guys out there, lots of people out there listening, and really appreciate it. Of course, part of the Patreon pledge is you get a little welcome message from me on the show. So here's me welcoming my newest patrons, Brian and Anthony, two gentlemen that have been listening to the show for a long time. As always, fully appreciate that. Anthony on social, especially on Twitter, he's a big time supporter of a lot of Star Wars shows. So I do feel honored about him sharing my posts and adding us to his playlists. It's got a lot of playlists. Anthony out there does. Of course, Brian's been out there a long time too, listening. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining on Patreon. It's really encouraging me and motivating me to get some more content done. So I'm working on that. Of course, the biggest things that's happening on Patreon is of course early access to the show. So this show, all the shows that we put out there, will be on Patreon first before they go live on YouTube and on the podcast feeds. So a little bit of a perk there. I wanted to make sure everybody, whatever level you put it on, you get early access to these shows. And then, of course, if you go on there and look at the other tiers, some of the perks on the tiers are you'll get actually exclusive shows. So there'll be some council sessions and Beyond the Sagas and Masters of the Orders and Dark Knowledges that we will only put on Patreon. They will probably never become out there on the main public waves, just because, again, I just want to make something exclusive for everybody that gives on the show there. And then there's eventually some tiers where you get some merch. There's going to be some tiers where we're doing some Patreon only content as well, additional to the shows, which is commentaries and Q&As and other videos that I'm working on about getting out there. So please check it out if you want. Again, patreon.com/Inside the Force. You'll see all the tiers right there. And of course, it's definitely going to evolve. I've never done it before, so it's definitely going to evolve. Tiers might change. Things might change. I want to give as much as I can back. And then of course, I've been reading about these goals you can set, so I might do that. So, hey, we'll see. We'll just keep kind of morphing it and changing it and doing my best to make everybody out there happy about supporting the show. So that is that. Of course, I will mention that again later in the show. But again, welcome to my newest patrons, Brian and Anthony. Again, thank you. And hopefully I don't forget to ever stop thanking you guys for supporting. So thank you. And moving on, let's see, we've got Star Wars Celebration is continuing to release news, and I wanted to apologize. I thought that I had this up. They announced another slew of guests that are coming. If you are going to Star Wars Celebration or still thinking about it, I think the 4-day ticket's already gone. There's I believe there's Saturday and Sunday, or no, I think Friday and Saturday are sold out too. I think Thursday and Sunday are still available. You can probably buy 4-day passes again. There's a resale site that if you go to StarWarsCelebration.com, you can find a link to the resale site. Obviously what people are doing is, what happens now, unfortunately, is they'll buy a bunch of tickets. I think because I don't think there's an unlimited number. I think there's like a limited 10 tickets or something that someone might buy. So it seems like what's happening is, like someone will go on there and buy 10 tickets and then they try to sell them for a profit. But if they can't sell them, they're non-transferable. So you have to sell them if you're going to get rid of them. So they'll go onto this resale site, and usually they'll sell them for basically the face value that they bought them for. So if you think you're out of luck, maybe go to StarWarsCelebration.com and click on that if you still want to go. Again, Anaheim. It's in Anaheim, California, and that is May 26th through the 29th, I believe, that Sunday. So, newest guests that have been announced. You've got D. Bradley Baker, you've got Dickie Beer, you've got Amy Allen, you got Michelle Ang, you've got Katie Sackhoff, Carl Weathers, Emily Swallow. Mainly people that are from the television shows. Of course, Amy Allen, if you don't know, familiar with her name, she played Aya Sakura, Jedi Aya Sakura, the blue Twi'lek that was in the prequels. And you got Michelle Yang, who is voicing Omega in the Bad Batch. Of course, Emily Swallow is the Armorer. Katie Sackhoff, Bo-Katan. So great announcement so far. I mean, thing about Celebration being in Anaheim, you can pretty much guarantee that all of the big name Star Wars celebrities are going to be there because it's pretty much right in their backyard. So I anticipate this growing and continuing, and it's going to be a lot of the same characters and people. Usually what's great is that, now that there's new content and stuff like that, there's definitely going to be new people that have never been to Celebration. And that's always fun to see their reactions to being there and seeing all the fans and stuff like that. So that's cool. More on Celebration here in a second, but wanted to mention that also Lego Star Wars finally released this past week on April 5th. So go get your copy of that, or you can buy it digitally and just download it on whatever platform you're trying to watch it on or play it on. I've actually got too much going on right now, so I've been waiting. I've been putting it off. I'm probably going to jump into it next weekend. But I was looking for the deluxe version. Now you can download the deluxe version as well and still get the character pack, but you can't get the Luke drinking blue milk minifig, which I really want. So I'm going to wait to get that. I'm going to hopefully try to find that. Hopefully it gets released, but it's sold out everywhere. I think I saw on Twitter and that a lot of people were having problems finding it as well. So it sounds like they made a shortage of the deluxe with the minifigure. So I'm going to wait for that unless it gets to next week and I can't get it and I just need to play this thing, and I might just, buy without it. So I will dive into that and probably be playing that for a while because I'm suspecting that it's a very massive game and there's going to be a lot of stuff to do to get through that. So So anyway, that's out there for anybody if they're wanting to get into Star Wars Lego, the Skywalker saga. It is out there. As far as news wise, that is really it. Haven't seen anything else really besides that. So let's get into really what I was going to talk about, which is a lot about Celebration here. First up, of course, upcoming releases in the publication world. You got Queen's Hope, which I've been talking about for a while, that just went out. I went and picked up my copy. Here's the cover for E.K. Johnston's Queen's Hope, the next book in the Padme trilogy. Pretty awesome. I already started listening to it, narrated by Padme herself, Catherine Tabor. Go check that out on Audible if you want. About 3 chapters in already, so I'm going to try to get through that pretty quickly. I know Hannah's going to read it as well, so we can do a Beyond the Saga on it. If you haven't seen them, we've done the 2 previous books, Queen's Shadow and Queen's Peril. Those are out there on YouTube as well. If you want to kind of get a breakdown of what those books are about before you get into Queen's Hope. But very excited about that book. That was supposed to be out in November, and it just now came out. So, and then, of course, other novels. The next big one, Brotherhood, comes out May 10th, about young Anakin and Obi-Wan. Shadow of the Sith with Luke Skywalker, June 28th. Padawan, which is about a young Obi-Wan. That's July 26th. Princess and the Scoundrel, The Marriage of Han and Leia, August 16th. And then a couple High Republic novels, Convergence on October 4th and Path of Deceit, November 1st. And then comic-wise, this past week, you only got Bounty Hunters 22. Next week, you've got Star Wars 22 and Darth Vader 22. April 20th, you got The Halcyon Legacy number 3, Crimson Reign number 4. The 27th, you can get Han Solo and Chewbacca number 2, Dr. Aphra number 20, Star Wars number 23, and then May the 4th, you got Obi-Wan number 1, Chrysanthemum number 1, and then the conclusion to Crimson Reign number 5. So a lot of good stories there, a lot of good stuff. That's one of the things too I'm gonna get going on Patreon is I'm gonna get caught up in reading these comics, and I'm going to do some weekly releases, weekly reviews on the releases each week of these comics. So I thought that'd be good for you guys to have a little more updated, just quick reviews. Of course, eventually me and Hannah would do some big breakdowns on it, Beyond the Saga, but thought that would be a nice little perk on Patreon for you guys. Okay, other than that, that's really it. So let's talk about Star Wars Celebration, because there was an article on StarWars.com that I want to kind of expand on. First, though, real quick, they have also released a preliminary schedule for some of the big panels that are going to happen. Now, for those of you that have been to Celebration, this isn't new to you, but for those of you that haven't, you probably know most of this, but what happens there is throughout the weekend, the first panel each day is usually reserved for, big announcements and kind of the most popular things that Star Wars is putting out there. So, for example, back in 2017, a celebration that was down in Orlando, the first day on Thursday, they had this big 40th anniversary panel, which I'm sure most of you have seen on YouTube, where John Williams played. You had Leia's daughter come out. This is right after, this was the first celebration after, I think, Carrie Fisher passed away, because they played, a little tribute video. Her daughter came out and introduced it. And we all got these numbered pictures of Leia that says A New Hope. I'm actually looking at it right now. It's up above my desk on the wall my favorite picture of all Star Wars. It's just a black and white headshot of Leia from A New Hope, and it's got a little flare under her hair. It's fantastic. Anyway, there were 8,000 of them made. I've got number 67, 68. So fantastic to be there in that room to see that. So, then the next day on Friday, they had a panel for The Last Jedi. So you can just see that each day they do something every morning, right? So anyway, at this celebration in Anaheim, what they've released so far is that on Thursday, there's going to be a live action Filmmakers panel. So what it seems like it is that it's going to be a Disney Plus live action panel where I don't know. It doesn't seem like they might be holding back and surprising us, but there's nothing on there really that talks about the films yet. Any of the films right now, it's about the live action series is Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Andor and Obi-Wan that are coming this year. Probably might have something about Ahsoka, but you'll have Filoni and Favreau there and some people that are in those other series, so that's going to be pretty fun. They haven't announced anything on Friday yet, which makes me think that that's something that's going to be pretty big. But also, that's also the day, again, that Obi-Wan lands on Disney Plus. So could be that they're going to have some kind of mass viewing party or something like that for the first 2 episodes there. So I don't know. That's maybe why they haven't announced anything there. On Saturday, it's the Mandalorian panel, so that's expected. Season 3 just wrapped, so they'll have some footage, probably some featurette or behind the scenes reel that hopefully gets released to the public. And then on Sunday, you've got the Bad Batch. Now, rumors are, of course, right now that Bad Batch is getting pushed to 2023. So I wouldn't be surprised if they showed a lot. If not, they show the entire first episode of season 2. But only if that it's coming out this year. If it doesn't come out this year, they're probably not going to show anything but maybe a trailer. Because, and I only say that because of experience, I was there when I was at the celebration where they premiered the season 2 episode premiere of Rebels, Star Wars Rebels, where Vader was there. So, and it might have been the first 2 actually. So they've done that before because they showed that. I saw Rebels. It was like in June or July, and they had not released the show until late September. So I saw it months in advance, which is pretty cool. That's probably one of the biggest perks at Celebration at the time was that they sometimes did release things that weren't going to come out for a little while. So hopefully, it could be the same with Obi-Wan, that they do it on that. Not Obi-Wan. They could be doing that with Bad Batch, since most of those episodes are probably completed, probably ready. I think right now it's just maybe scheduling on when they want to release this thing. But that right now is the opening day panels for Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. So here's the thing: I've never not been at Celebration since it's been online. Right? I think slowly each celebration they've kind of figured out more and more ways to be able to live stream things. So I will be definitely tuning in while I'm here at my house. So this will be the first time I will be experiencing Celebration online and not in person, which each time I think about it just makes me more and more sad. But what are you going to do? I'm actually going to, I'll be going to Anaheim about 2 weeks after that anyway. I'm going to Disneyland out there in mid-June, so that's why it didn't make sense. And then, of course, I went out there in February for the Super Bowl, so got my that'll be 2 trips out west. Couldn't squeeze in a third, so as far as celebration goes, I wanted to hit on this. So on StarWars.com, they did an article on there called "The 5 Reasons Star Wars Celebration is Great for Families." And it is great for families, even though I haven't gone with my family. At some point I will. I know my daughters are talking about going and wanting to experience it. Sorry, had to get a drink there. So anyway, there are 5 reasons. Number 1 is cosplay is a competitive sport here, and there are homages to every kind of Star Wars content. Very true. All kinds of cosplay going on, and some really good ones too. Number 2 is you can snag a photo with a childhood hero or favorite character. That is true too. All kinds of photo ops with different characters and cosplay people. There's a Star Wars kids area. So yes, usually a place where just kids can go and do a bunch of activities, building, drawing, all kinds of stuff. So yes, there is all kinds of things to do for kids. Number 4 is if you've ever wanted to get up close with screen accurate props, now's your chance. Very true. Also, there are, sometimes I can't believe it. There's actually like a life-size X-Wing there. There's a life-size TIE Fighter there. You can get into them and take pictures. There's a life-size Rancor and stuff like that. I mean, it's crazy what props are there. And so, yes, very, very, very cool. Lots of speeders as well. And then the last one they've got, number 5, is you'll make memories to last a lifetime. And yes, that is true. So what I thought I'd do is give you my own top 5 reasons. Not top 5 reasons why celebration is great for families, just the top 5 reasons why you should go to celebration. That's what I'm going to talk about right now. Top 5 reasons. And number 1 for me, and this is in no particular order, but number 1 on my list right now is for the people that attend. I have never been in one place with so many true, and I use that word heavily, true Star Wars fans, right? You know, you can easily get online and get into a group or get into a chat with your friends, or get on a Twitter thread and just see the toxicity of being a Star Wars fan. There's a lot of back and forth, a lot of division sometimes, depending on what's being discussed. But man, at Star Wars Celebration, there's none of that. Never seen any of that. Everybody truly there is there for the experience, is there for Star Wars, their love of Star Wars. And everybody that I've run into there and met and connected with has just been super nice. Just a great, great, great experience of people. And it's another thing too, it's a great networking place, right? If you're doing shows, if you're doing podcasts like this, but I will admit that I haven't probably met as much as I should. I've met a couple people there I still talk to every once in a while, but I've always gone with family and friends, and we've always just kind of done our own thing. But celebration, just the people there, it's just great to sit back and be in the same room with people that are exactly thinking exactly like you for the love of Star Wars. So that is number 1 there for me. The other one, number 2, is kind of what I just talked about, which is the reveals that happen there. So many times we just you just see things there that no one else gets to see ever. Like I remember when I was going for a few years during the Clone Wars. When the Clone Wars was out, they would have so many panels where they showed so many behind the scenes videos, just in-depth discussions with Filoni about the Clone Wars. The biggest thing was when the Clone Wars got canceled, and of course, it wasn't completed at the time. Filoni just brought a ton of concept art out, explained all of the missing footage and unfinished footage and all the storylines that they were working on that didn't get released. I mean, stuff like that, never got aired, never got released. So those are pretty cool. Like I said, the premiere of Rebels Season 2 I saw while at Celebration. It's just, you see videos. Like I remember when we went to Chicago in 2019, I think. And we saw the first footage of The Mandalorian. That footage, that reel never got released. So, we had seen Carl Weathers in action a little bit, and then, of course, the client. This is crazy. It was awesome seeing that, and no one ever got to see it. Only the people in that room saw that thing. So, that's pretty cool. The reveals are really cool. Of course, like for The Last Jedi or the best, which was The Rise of Skywalker, when those trailers got released. Even though they got released shortly after online, so you got to see it right away too. But we saw it premiered, and we saw it in person with a bunch of people that, like I said, are just Star Wars lovers. Now, The Rise of Skywalker was the best because we weren't even in the room where they had the panel going. We were on the vendor floor, and everyone just stopped what they were doing, gathered in front of the screens, and watched that trailer. And I mean, there's pictures out there which are incredible online that are just thousands of people in there just staring at the screen, watching this thing. And it was so incredible. By far my favorite memory of any Star Wars celebration. So that's pretty cool. The exclusives, number 3, the exclusives. So like I said, I talked about the Leia poster that I got. Again, only 8,000 were made. So many vendors there that have exclusive, figures, and of course all the vendors that come like Funko Pop and Hasbro and stuff like that. They make exclusive figures strictly for Celebration. If you're into like Fantasy Flight games with Star Wars games, they usually have exclusive cards and stuff that they put out. So, it's pretty neat. All the exclusive stuff that you can get, of course, you can get on eBay and pay top dollar for it. But if you're there, more than likely, a lot of the stuff that you get there is free. So, a lot of exclusive stuff there. It's pretty neat. And then number 4 for me is actually the unexpected. And what I mean by that is there's so many surprises. You never know what's going to happen there. 2 that come to mind for me was, I have a hard time remembering what celebration it was, but I was at a panel with Filoni and talking about all the stuff that Filoni was doing, which was really just Clone Wars at the time. But while we're sitting there, and it wasn't a big panel either, that's the thing. It was in one of the smaller rooms, but all of a sudden they were talking about George, and George Lucas comes out. And I remember being in there I think I was in there with Corey and maybe Casey. But man, the whole room just erupted. And George came out, waved and stayed for a while and talked. And it was just so cool to see. So cool to see him with Dave up there talking. That was pretty awesome. And then the other moment was it's kind of a two-parter. The first part of it was we were sitting there thinking about who we were going to go visit, like for a photo op, like with either Mark Hamill or Carrie or something like that. While we were standing there, all of a sudden there was like walking by, there was like this big security detail. And we're like, well, dang, who's that? And then right in the middle there, it was J.J. Abrams. And this was before, this was 2015, I believe, before Force Awakens came out. So he was obviously the director, and they came, and that's when one of the trailers came out. But he walked right by us, and I was kicking myself because, like, man, I should have just reached out and shook his hand and said, hey. But, there was a lot of security around him. But later on, so he was getting shuffled to this interview that he was having with Kathleen Kennedy. And it was pretty neat because we all kind of went and gathered around that. And then after he was done, like we kind of maneuvered our way to where we can we were standing somewhat behind him a little bit. But he was literally maybe 10 feet away. And it was so funny because since his back was to us, we thought, oh, he's not going to turn around and come to us, to shake our hand or say hi. He was probably going to go forward about 20, 25 feet to the people that he can see. So me and my buddy Chad, we kind of walked all the way around and got in front to where we thought he might walk that way. Well, as the interview was getting done, another guy we were with was like, come back here. Which was kind of in the same place we were, but a little further down. We're like, all right, well, it seems maybe it's a little closer. Maybe he'll do it. So we walked all the way back around. And when he got done, lo and behold, he goes straight to the place that me and Chad were standing and signing autographs, shaking hands, stuff like that. So we're like, oh man, we missed it. But then he has to leave. So he kind of walks parallel to where we were towards this aisle. But then all of a sudden, and I got pictures of this, it was pretty, all of a sudden he's in his in between his security detail there as he's walking back, but then he just like jumps away from them back under the ropes and runs over to really exactly where me and Chad were. And then it was so funny because we shake his hand and we're like, hey, JJ, yay, JJ. And then he looks at us and he's like, what do you want me to sign? Give me your pen. And we looked around, we're like, we didn't have our pen, even though we had like our badges and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. He's like, oh, you guys don't have pens? Oh man. And then he just left and went back to getting in this detail. So it was weird that he just popped out and said that, but it just shows you that he's a truly genuine fan of Star Wars and appreciates the fans. And again, unexpected things like that. I ran into Pablo Hidalgo, talked to him a little bit. My favorite conversation was I ran into Leland Chi, the keeper of the holocron. I literally I sat there probably for like 10, 15 minutes talking to him on the floor. Just ran into him, told him I was a fan, and he literally started asking me questions, and we talked back and forth. And it was so weird because I actually said to him, well, I didn't want to keep you up and keep you or hold you up and wasting your time, so I'll let you go. Thanks for talking to me. And I walked away, and I don't think he was ready to stop talking and having a conversation with me. And I stopped myself and I looked at my buddy and I said, did I just blow Leland Chi off? Because I think I just did. And I think I did. So, and unfortunately I haven't seen him since. So I wish I would see him again and continue that conversation. But he's a great guy. Again, you just run into all kinds of people. I ran into Matt Senrich, who is one of the co-founders of Robot Chicken with Seth Green. Super guy. We actually somewhat still keep in contact on Facebook a little bit, wishing each other happy birthdays and anniversaries and stuff like that. I saw him at Celebration a few times in a row, and we did connect and talk and saw each other at parties and stuff like that. So again, a guy that didn't have to remember me. You know, he's working in Hollywood, doing all kinds of stuff, but he does remember me. So I thought that was really super cool. I mean, it's just, again, met Chris Gore there, had a good relationship with him there. I don't know. It's just unexpected. Again, there's so many things that happen there that you don't plan. That's probably, out of all my top 5, right now I'm saying it's number 4 on my list, but anyway, that's probably the number 1 reason you go to the celebration, in my opinion. Never know what's going to happen and never know who you're going to run into. It's so cool. But for me, the number 5 on here is pretty much the same as number 5 on that list I read you from StarWars.com, is, of course, the memories. You can't take that away. I've got so many videos and pictures from Celebration. It is, it truly is one of the greatest times of your lives. It was the greatest time of my life. And it's hard to pick which one of my celebrations I've been to because, again, there's so many good memories from each one. So every time I've went, it's been just the best time. I love the before. Here's the thing: before they had these virtual panels and these panels where you or virtual queues, or you kind of get in line on your phone. I mean, you had to literally get in line and you had to wait a long time. And I remember, I'm like the Rebels premiere. I remember waiting about 4 hours in line before we got into that. The George Lucas interview was called The Main Event with Jon Stewart. Interviewed him. We waited and slept outside all night. It was a morning thing. Got in line about 11 o'clock at night. That's when, again, go back to the unexpected. Some really awesome guys. D. Bradley Baker, Tom Kane, and James Arnold Taylor saw all these fans, hundreds of fans outside the middle of the night just laying on concrete. They came out of their rooms and met with us and walked the line and introduced themselves, took pictures. I mean, it was, again, a great, great time and great feeling to see that. Things like that. You just store that away and you have those memories. You can always talk to your friends about the people that were there. And that's what, that to me just makes the thing. I mean, those 5 things that I just read, I mean, that they're all combined. I mean, how can you not want to be at Star Wars Celebration? How can it not be one of the best trips that you ever take? It truly is amazing. It truly is fun, amazing, and I will always continue to try to go to them. When this thing was going to be in 2020, I was going to go. But now it's this year, and if it was later in the year, I probably would go, but May is a little tough for me right now. But that is, I'll probably talk more about it as we get close. But Celebration, those are my top 5 reasons to go. My reasons to go. The people, the reveals, the exclusives, the unexpected, and of course, just gathering up those memories. It's just so awesome. Can't talk about it enough. So if that doesn't make you want to go, I don't know what will. All right, so as I wrap this show up, let me look at some comments here. Interesting comments I want to touch on. Let's see, on last week's show, or my last episode, I guess, on YouTube here. Let's see, Thrawn Addict, sucks Obi-Wan slightly delayed, but worth the wait to get 2 episodes on that Friday. Also definitely need more Force Ghosts, and I really hope Qui-Gon Jinn Force Ghost appears in Kenobi series. Yes, I'm with you. I hope that happens too. And apparently the rumor, should I say this? Yeah, I don't think this is spoilery. But apparently the rumor that I read is that the reason why they're now doing the 2 episodes is that basically Vader kind of shows up at the end of the second episode. So it seems like the first two episodes are one big storyline. So to where the fact that, something happens to where Obi-Wan is either revealed or believed to be alive, and then Vader now is basically coming after him. So I think that's the rumor of why that's happening. So we'll see. Thrawn Addict also says great to hear plans for more movie commentary soon, and we'll be signing up for Patreon shortly. Okay, yeah. Commentaries will be coming soon. Absolutely. Now, we did a council sessions this week between me and my Mandalore co-host, Martin Donison. And the topic on that show was who wins, kind of what we're talking about here. Who wins in the next duel between Obi-Wan and Vader? So kind of like what we're talking about. This fight that they're going to have that we talk about in council sessions, takes place 10 years after Revenge of the Sith and 9 years for New Hope. So they both survive. We know that for sure. But who actually wins? We'll see. I don't know. But Thrawn Addict mentions a tough one to call who wins. Easiest way is for Vader to be dominating most of the duel, and then Kenobi just about gets the upper hand and escapes. Kenobi could also use a line stating he is still the learner apprentice before he escapes, which could help the line in A New Hope. Yeah, that's true. He could. I don't think Vader will dominate, though. I think it's going to be a pretty even match, and then I think, but I think you're right. I have settled on the fact that I think Vader probably wins that duel, but there's a lot more details there. Go check out that council sessions. That one is out to the public, so go read that. Kind of along those same lines, Mark Davis on our Facebook group started a conversation thread with actually Martin Donison, Cyber Ren, talking about the update to, I'll summarize it because it's actually a pretty long thread, but basically summarizing how an update could be considered or needed for the saber fight between Obi-Wan and Vader on A New Hope, right? It just looks like a couple old guys fencing, and it definitely could use an upgrade. So I'm with you, Mark, on this one. I think that, there is they call it Star Wars Scene 38 Reimagined, which is an updated version of the fight that's out there on YouTube. Fantastic. Although I don't think they should or could go that far. Like, that was completely redone and it looks great, but I think it's a little too far for where our characters are at this point. But they need to be a lot more physical and faster than they are now. I think it'd be worth redoing. I really would. Even now, because there's a lot of the old trilogy, the original trilogy, that even though it's been updated and tinkered, and you got the special editions, and even, I want to say there's probably 3 rounds of changes each time they got released. There was, of course, the special editions, and then when they came out on DVD, there's even more changes, and then when it hit Blu-ray, there was more changes, and I think actually when it hit digital, it was more changes. So looks like there was probably 4 rounds of special edition, updates. And what I mean by that, they weren't fully completed, right? Because even though they continue to do it, they changed things like in Cloud City, new renderings of buildings and more people and things like that. But there's still shots in it that don't have updates. Like when Lando's leading them to the dinner with Vader, like there's windows like next to where Chewbacca walks, and nothing's been touched there. So there's just a little inconsistency still that I feel like they could go back and really fix and make it perfect. Not perfect, but consistent. And this is one of those things where I think it needs to be changed to be consistent. with what we've seen in the prequels of how how Jedi fight, how Vader fights, how Obi-Wan fights. We're going to see it again in this series. So it actually just makes sense that, now we've seen them duel a few times. A New Hope is now the conclusion of that duel and that relationship. It needs to be a lot more powerful than it is now. I think it doesn't lack that, just that capability, So I'm with you, Mark Davis. I think that is needed. I doubt they'll do it, but I think most fans would be like, wow, yeah, that's better. That looks better. That feels better. But we'll see, because I actually thought that Alec Guinness was a lot older than what Obi-Wan was at the time, age-wise, but he really wasn't. I think he was only 5 years older. Obi-Wan's like 57 in A New Hope, and Alec Guinness was like 62 when he was filming it. So, I get it that he kind of looks older and maybe walks older, but using the Force and fighting, I would think you're a little more youthful, So, anyway, I thought that was an interesting thread. If you are interested in joining our Facebook group, you can go there and answer a couple questions, get in. You can get part of the conversations that we're having in there. I thought that was a good conversation from our council sessions video. Okay, that is all with that. Other than that, please just keep going to InsideTheForce.com or InsideTheForce/YouTube. You can get us all of our shows right there. Hit the subscribe button. That would really, really help us. I'm actually gaining more and more subscribers there, which I didn't think was possible. So, but hey, it's all good. I love it all. Keep it coming. With our feed and our YouTube channel, you get this show as well as council sessions and Beyond the Saga, Master of the Order, which I got a great interview lined up for later this month. And then you've got Dark Knowledge, where we dive into the dark side of the Force a little bit. And then, of course, when Obi-Wan starts, the Mandalorian podcast will be back, and we take major deep dives into the episodes on there. So go subscribe to that. And that is it. Of course, again, Patreon. Thank you to Brian and Anthony, my newest patrons. Hopefully those keep coming up. But, again, if they don't, no big deal. We're going to still do this thing. But if you're interested in getting some exclusive content and merch, go to Inside the Force on Patreon, which is patreon.com/Inside the Force. Would love to hear from you. I'd love to support you guys back. So do that, please, and spread the word. And I will be back next week. Look for on the early next week. Look for a new episode, I believe, of Beyond the Saga. That's probably going to be the next one we put out. So look for that, and I'll be back at the end of next week again for Inside the Force. Thank you, everybody, for all the support, for listening, for watching. Hit the subscribe button. We're on all the podcast feeds and on youtube.com/Inside the Force. And, of course, you can get all that, too, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend and week next week. I will be back next week. Talk to you soon. Talk to you then. I keep forgetting to also say, again, comments are welcome. I love reading these. I love getting inspired by them and thinking of topics with them. So keep them coming, and let's keep the conversation going. Take care, everybody. See you next week. May the Force be with you.